And as we move into this next moment together, we invite you to settle in, to listen deeply, and to reflect on the histories, voices, and movements that have shaped the path we walk today. Our keynote conversation, Art, Resistance, and the Long Arc of Justice, asks us how change happens over time. How it is carried, contested, and reimagined across generations. It reminds us that movements are not singular moments, but living ecosystems shaped by artists, organizers, storytellers, and advocates who each play a role in bending that arc towards justice. Before we begin the conversation on this stage, we will hear from someone whose life and leadership have been central to that arc. Many of you know that Dolores Huerta, founder and president, Dolores Huerta Foundation, and co-founder of the United Farm Workers of America, was originally scheduled to join us in person. At this time, she is taking the space she deserves, and we honor and respect that fully. We are deeply grateful that in the midst of this moment, she has chosen to share her voice with us in a different way. What you're about to experience is a special recorded response created specifically for this gathering. Her reflections speak to the relationship between art and resistance, to the responsibilities and realities of justice work, and to the movements that continue to unfold in our communities today. We receive her words with gratitude, with care, and with deep respect for her enduring leadership and legacy. Can we just take a moment to send her a lot of really good vibes and love? Can we do that? I also ask that you not record the video. This is something that was made special for us, and we would like to honor her wishes that this is just kept in the room. Following the video, we will be joined on stage by 3 extraordinary voices whose work continues to shape culture, movement building, and public imagination across generations. So I'm going to introduce them, and then we'll watch the video, and then they'll join us on stage. Dr. Maria Rosario Jackson, University Professor of Creativity and Social Impact, Arizona State University, and former chair of the National Endowment for the Arts, has a 30-plus year career in strategic planning, policy research and program design, implementation and evaluation with philanthropy, government, and nonprofit organizations. Dr. Jackson is returning to the California Arts and Culture Summit this year to moderate this discussion, and we're so very, very grateful to have her here. Luis Valdez is one of the most important and influential American playwrights and filmmakers living today. His internationally renowned and Obie Award-winning theater company, El Teatro Campesino, the Farm Workers Theater, was founded by Luis in 1965 in the heat of the United Farm Workers struggle and the Great Delano grape strike in California's Central Valley. In 1978, he wrote and directed Zoot Suit, the play that re-examines the Sleepy Lagoon trial of 1942 and the Zoot Suit riots of 1943, 2 of the darkest moments in LA urban history. It is considered a masterpiece of the American theater, as well as the first Chicano play on Broadway and the first Chicano major feature film. Luis's hard work and long creative career have won him countless awards, including the prestigious George Peabody Award for Excellence in Television, the Presidential Medal of the Arts, the Governor's Award from the California Arts Council, which he will be receiving tonight, and you'll be joining us there, 6 o'clock sharp outside, and Mexico's prestigious Aguila Azteca Award, given to individuals whose work promotes cultural excellence and exchange between the United States and Mexico. In September of 2016, he was awarded the National Medal of the Arts by President Obama at the White House. The 2026 American documentary film, American Pachuco, The Legend of Luis Valdez, chronicles his life and career and premiered in the United States documentary competition at the 2026 Film Festival, Sundance Film Festival. I've been up here a while now. It's all right, okay. Excuse me, Mr. Valdez. At the 2026 Sundance Film Festival, where it won the Audience Award and the Festival Favorite Award. How about that? And Hector Flores, Los Angeles-based artivist who has been using song, film, and storytelling to elevate, shift, and shine light on the narrative of Black, Indigenous, BIPOC, people of color, and communities over the last 10 years as a musician, cultural worker, producer, and is currently the artistic director for Los Angeles-based Las Cafeteras. Someday we'll have Las Cafeteras here to perform. Together, they will guide us into a conversation that explores how art fuels resistance, how storytelling shifts power, and how each of us might locate ourselves within the long arc of justice.
So good morning, everybody. It is such an honor to be here with you all. I want to start by thanking Julie and Nefesha and the entire team for making today and making this conversation possible. And I can't tell you how honored I am to be in conversation with Mr. Luis Valdez and Mr. Hector Flores. Let's give it up for them, please. In the time we have together, we'll have a window into, it's a really special conversation. We'll have a window into their careers and inspirations. But I wanted to start with a very brief question, because you all heard the bios. And in bios, typically there are appropriately accolades and affiliations. But I'm curious about what's one thing that you would want this group of artists, arts administrators, and world changers, what's one thing that's not in your bio that you would want them to know? And I'll start with you, Luis.
Well, in my case, being an artist in the theater, there's a lot of names that go behind those credits in my bio. I can't conceive of how to do theater without other people. And so, El Teatro Campesino is really a family of families. So there's a lot of names, including my partner for 57 years, my wife and collaborator, Lupe Trujillo Valdez, who's here. Where is she? One of the co-founders of El Teatro Campesino. Also with us is my son, Anahuac, who was born into a family of teatro. But beyond that, names like Phyllis Esparza, whom you may know, my producer over 50 years. The teatro has been an ongoing collective and passing the torch from one generation to the other. So I acknowledge all of those in my bio.
Thank you for that. Hector, what would you want to add?
You know, I'm looking at the sign language interpreter right here. I'm seeing you right now. And so my mom's the oldest of 14 kids, and 6 of her brothers and sisters are deaf. So I grew up in a deaf culture, like a deaf home, deaf family. And so from a very early age, I understood power, privilege, justice, and neglect. And at a very early age, I understood the difference between haves and have-nots. And I had deaf family living in a hearing world, trying to survive in a hearing world, but they did it with so much joy. My uncles who were deaf, I had 3 of them, they were the best break dancers on the block. They would go to yard sales, and they would buy all the bass, the big, just bass amps, right, bass speakers, and they would just feel the bass. And they're the best breakdancers on the block. They're the best skaters on the block. And they taught me at an early age, like, you do things with joy. In this life, sometimes you're given gifts and sometimes you're negated things. And that doesn't define who you are. And I feel like, for me, my family has been a great, place of inspiration. But my deaf family, has really shown me how to be joyful in a space that's not always built for you. And so that's what I would say to this.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for that. So we just heard the voice and words of the amazing Dolores Huerta, and she talked to us about the importance of the arts, the importance of the work of artists, and the importance of the work of all people with a creative impulse that have a voice and a story to share. And she spoke about it from the perspective of an activist. And we have the privilege of being in conversation this morning with two remarkably accomplished artists who have led movements and helped to contribute to important social change. And we'll hear each of their stories, and then we'll be in conversation. And I'm looking forward to both the conversation and the stories. And Luis, I'm going to start with you. So as someone who is a screenwriter, a playwright, an actor, a poet, just an amazing list of ways in which you've used your creative talents for decades now in service of movements, in service of justice. Help us understand what was that journey to becoming that person, and what inspired you? When did you know this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Well, I think, life itself inspired me to go into the arts. I had to define myself. I was born in 1940, so California was very, very different then. It was 6 million people in the state of California. It seemed empty at the time, but I was a migrant farm worker, so I got to see the state. But in any case, I ran into the racism, the wall of racism. At the same time, I also tapped into my family and saw the richness of our cultural life. And I knew that I had to bridge that gap, between the perceived version of who I was and what my community was. And the way to do that is by going through culture, by going through the songs that I learned literally at home at family gatherings, and the stories that I used to hear. And I wanted to project that out into the world. Fight racism by introducing my value as a human being. And so that automatically turned me into an artist, I think. One of the things about the arts is they're empowering. And the moment that you find that you can draw, or you can make a song, or a mask, or in my case, the discovery of paper mache is one of the secrets of the universe. You can make puppets. And it didn't matter where we were in labor camps, and I started doing puppet shows in the farm labor camps because I had a captive audience. And I was just a kid, but it was liberation for me. I found that in my hands I had the ability to be able to transfer the despair and the poverty into joy. And so I love the motto here of joy, power, and action, because that's exactly what the arts bring. They empower you. And they empower little kids, who are natural artists to begin with. And if you can just get them to plug into their talents, they become full human beings. I think it's really important. To me, arts are a way of life. Arts are a means of survival. And arts are a human necessity. They're not the privilege of the rich. They are not products that you can buy and sell. They are ultimately expressions of our existence. They give meaning to why we're on this earth. And it's through the arts that we hear the echoes of the universe in our hearts and are able then to transcend our own mortality. And so it's really important that we become activists, because it is necessary to have arts in order to have full human beings. So I believe in that movement. I believe in that struggle. It is eternal. It doesn't matter how we go from one generation to the other. I was telling Hector that the first time that I was in this auditorium was exactly 70 years ago, Governor Goodwin night, back in 1956, I was in high school. The world was very different now than it was then. But the transition has been made through the expression of artists, not just all over the world, but most specifically in our own little communities. I'm happy to say that the Chicano movement would not exist without the arts. The arts are the Chicano movement.
It's beautiful.
That's it.
Well, that was a lot.
Whoa.
Thank you, Luis. And Hector, through storytelling, music, film, all of the things that you do lift up important concerns, conditions, and too often the overlooked assets of communities of color, and specifically, how did you know this is what you were supposed to be doing? What's your story?
En el 5 de Mayo con el grito de gallo. En el 5 de Mayo con el grito de gallo, black, white, and brown bleeding together on a day I'll always remember. You see, because my people, we never surrender. So just in case they got you guessing, I want to kick y'all down with a little history lesson. You see, before that. You see, the Underground Railroad also ran south, which led African slaves to freedom. Mexico right there to receive them. 1910, it was Pancho Villa Zapata fighting for tierra, libertad, y techo. Adelitas on the front line, bullets across their pecho. You see, 1947, it was the Mendez family that fought against segregation in schools. Before that, they treated us like fools, pushing us out into gangs, wars, and drugs. Get pissed off when we become Crips and Bloods, Pachucos, Traviesos, Hipoperas, Bomberas, Jaraneros in the street, Jaraneros with a bomb-ass beat, talking about what's going on in my east side streets. But see, in the 60s in Oakland, California, Black Panthers organized for answers. In New York, the Young Lords, they fought against wars. Stonewall Rebellion remained true for the rights of the LGBTQ. AIM, down with native rights. No shame in their game. In the campus of California, it was Filipinos who laid down the boycott, screaming in solidarity, Isang Baksak. One rise, one fall. You come for one, you come for all. You come for one, you come for one. But see, today, Arizona and Alabama, man, they don't play. They carving out racist laws like it's made out of clay. But I stand with Emmett, Trayvon, Oscar, Good, Pretty, and Bell. Telling you, I'd rather be blind than to stay quiet on the day while my people are hunt like prey. So walk with me and let's rise with the sun. Pick up your heart, put down that gun, kiss your mama just for fun, and realize that today, we be one. Thank you. Hey. I just want to say it's an honor to be, I've never met Luis. I've never met you, brother. And I just want to say I'm a product of the work that you've built. I'm here, I'm here as a proud, brown, Chicano kid.
With that hat, you remind me of me,
Hey, this is a month's rent right here. I'll tell you that right now. And I feel for me, I said the poem, that took up all my time right there. So I'm gonna make this short. I was raised by a single mom. I'm the oldest of 6 kids. I understand early what it was to be like living in a working class family. We moved a lot because nobody wants to rent to a single mom with 6 kids, So I learned that early, and it wasn't until college where I learned about art. I learned about this thing called feminism, and it was from a male Chicano, my Puerto Rican professor, who was talking to me, who gave me the language to describe my upbringing, who I was, where I can go. I became an organizer because someone came up to me and said, hey, do you know where your shirt's made? I said, hell no. And they looked at my tag and said, Nicaragua. And I joined a crew called Students Against Sweatshops. I organized in college. And after college, I was trained by a ex-Black Panther named Anthony Thigpen. I was trained very well. Went back to my neighborhood in East LA to become an organizer, a youth organizer for 10 years. I said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to work in my neighborhood. I want to build power. I want to make sure young kids don't have to feel the embarrassment that I felt growing up. But working in a nonprofit could be very restricting. You got to meet measurables. You got to prove to people why they should give you money. I said, man, I don't think this is the box I want to live in all the time. I started learning how to play music. I didn't play music till I was 22 years old. And music was used as a tool to bring people to the movement. That's what I wanted to do. But I was also trying to survive. It's hard. But I felt like music was the way I think. Not everybody wants to talk about politics, man. But what if I play you a song? Maybe we break bread. And let's talk about how we can make our neighborhoods better, right? And that's what I got trained to do, and music was the way to do that. In the pandemic, when the pandemic happened, man, everything shut down, and a homeboy told me, man, if you can't go out, you got to go in. And I was like, yeah, who am I? If I'm not a touring artist, I'm not creating, then who am I? And I got an opportunity to really reflect on who I was. And at the end of the day, my name is Hector, Hector the Connector. And I started connecting. I was like, what do I want to see in the world? What's the world I'm trying to build? So I started seeing all these shitty COVID videos that nonprofits were doing. And I said, man, they could be so much better. And I had these badass videographers and graphic artists, and I would connect people. I said, you are a badass artist. You should be working with this organization to uplift their work. You're not a movement kid, but your gift can support the movement here. You're an amazing videographer doing videos for Puma and Nike. You should be doing videos for this movement here. I started connecting people. I started working with movements to do videos and songs and things like that, and I haven't stopped. I left my job when I was 29 to be like, man, can I become a full-time artist like Luis Valdez over here? And you don't ever know if you can walk on water if you never leave the boat, you know? And I left the boat. I drowned a little bit, but you learn. And here I am as an artist using music, song, and film to elevate movements. And those are things that I learned from this man right here. You could have done whatever you wanted to do with your gifts, but you went to the farm worker movement. You wanted to uplift the work that farm workers are doing, the campaigns, and that's what I learned to do, is like, how do I use my gift to elevate the fight for human rights? And so I thank this man right here for helping lead that way, and now I'm trying to do that work right now. And I'll shut up right there.
In preparing for this conversation, I had the privilege to speak with both of you. And one of the things that got my attention is that part of your philosophies have to do not only with delivering your gifts in service of a movement or in service of justice, but in helping other people discover their own agency and creativity, and helping to steward that or cultivate that in others. Can you talk about that, and what it is to be an artist, and in some ways, what it is to be, in some cases, a midwife for the creativity of others?
Well, I know one of the things that a question comes up, what is art? And my answer for years has been, thou art. That you express your existence, you know, through paint, through music, through acting, through dance. This is the vibe, you know, that keeps you alive. And so the arts are an expression of that very essential essence, you know, the human essence. And everybody has it. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, how much money you have or don't have, or whether you think you're pretty or whatever, or ugly. It's there, that spark, that vibe. And that's been the guiding principle of my work with the Teatro Campesino, our work, I should say, because it's been a question of empowering people by helping them to communicate and connect with themselves. And one of the things about the whole concept of the arts, I'm grateful and really happy to see that you have such arts advocacy with this conference, 4th anniversary. How great, you know, that this kind of arts activism is taking place. It wasn't always there. 50 years ago, when the California Arts Council was established, we were following up on a precursor that was called the California Arts Commission. And it was really a small budget, but it was given to very specific institutions, the ballet, the orchestras, what have you. What we introduced to the guidance of Governor Jerry Brown was a whole new concept in terms of the arts, that we wanted public funding. We wanted the state of California to support the arts at every level. We didn't need a commission. We needed a council that was more directly linked to the whole idea of arts in society as a human necessity. So Governor Brown appointed a bunch of artists onto the Arts Council, and we talked really from our disciplines in terms of what we wanted to do. The state and local programs that we developed were really pioneers in terms of just exploring the idea that the state should be supportive of the arts in all our communities. They do that in Europe. They don't do that in the United States, because arts are supposed to be products that are the prerogative of the rich. Only the very rich are the ones that can really benefit and become benefactors for artists. The artists are supposed to be starving in a garret. That is the cliche. It doesn't have to be that way. I feel that artists are like doctors and nurses in society. And what they're doing is they're healing human beings by giving them the tools so they can heal themselves. And that requires then that the state support that as a human necessity. It's part of our educational system, but it's also part of the general health of society in general. And that means that the struggles that we have put together over the years to defend the arts, including this conference that you have here, is a noble cause that needs to be furthered, and it needs direct action on the part of all artists, not just as artists, but also as organizers and as activists in the political system, so that the artists get the money that they need in order to survive, so they can help other generations to survive. We pass the torch from one generation to the other, to the songs that we sing, the dances that we dance, the films that we make, the stories that we tell about ourselves, including the overall narrative of America. That people, the native peoples of this land, and all of their fusions over the centuries are the true America. We have two Americas happening today. On the one hand, the privileged, racist people that want to go back to the past. They want to go back not just 50, 100, 200 years. They want to calcify an America that was unequal, imbalanced, corrupt, crooked, evil even, instead of the new emerging America, which is all about cultural fusion, which is all about human respect across genders, across disciplines. And we need then, as activists and new generations, to continue to defend that, lift the torch of the arts, and fight for what is right, because arts are a human right.
That's, Hector, that's pretty hard to follow.
Oh, my God. You know, we did it.
But I've heard echoes. It's just as you said, you know, were it not for Luis, your career, you know, maybe would be different or not. I hear echoes in what I've heard you say.
We did a show in Louisiana, and we went on after the Whalers, and everybody's, what are you going to do? I'm like, we're going to go have a kick-ass show right now. What are you talking about? And you're like the Whalers right now, man. It's hard to go up after legends. Gracias, Luis. Thank you for saying that. Thank you, brother. You know, I sing in a band. I'm in a band called Las Cafeteras. And I don't know if you ever, I'm not the greatest singer. I don't know if you ever heard me sing. I'll preface with that. But I don't sing because I think I'm an amazing singer. I sing because I feel free when I sing, right? And how many of us are not singers because at one point in time in your life, someone said, you don't sing well. I don't like your voice. That was never the purpose. The purpose was to be free. Music, before the stage and microphones and speakers, we used to sing and dance communally in celebration, right? La Bamba, song I play, 3 chords, C, F, G. Anybody can play. The song is a 400-year-old Afro-Mexican song. How do we still know verses to a song that's 400 years ago? How do we still know when people did not know how to read and write and there was no university, no summit, no place? What did people do? They passed it down. They passed down the verses. Someone was born, La Bamba. Someone died, La Bamba. You got divorced, La Bamba. Right? And they passed down. And to this day, we still sing, La Bamba survived slavery, colonialism, Bush 1 and 2, survived Trump 1, it's gonna survive Trump 2 too. You know what I mean? And I sing, and I play La Bamba. I played that song, CFG. And I was talking about this earlier, is I'm not from Veracruz. La Bamba's from Veracruz, and I sing this music, this folk, Afro-Mexican folk music from Veracruz. But I'm from East LA. And this music taught me, right? I'm singing these songs that are 400 years old from Veracruz, Mexico, right? That survived. And the question is, what are the songs and practices you're doing to make sure that you survive, that I survive 400 years from now? How will people 400 years from now know that we fought, that we cried, that we laughed, that we lived, if you don't pass down your story? This is the work that we have beyond your job, beyond your career, beyond all that. We're talking about the arts. The art, we are all artists. We are all storytellers. And what is your story? And you can never ask anybody to do anything that you are not willing to do yourself. We're over here advocating for the arts, but are you advocating for your own story? Are you documenting your story? Are you learning your practices? Are you passing them down? How will people know that you lived 400 years from now? That you fought, that you cried, that you lived, that you laughed? We all have a story. Not one of us is here. Not one of us here has the same story. So gathering those things, and a lot of us, we've been cut off from our stories. We were talking about too. On my dad's side, he's from Sonora. I don't know if we're Yaqui or if we're Pima. One tia says we're Yaqui, another tia says we're Pima. We don't know. It gets lost along the way. So you gather. The beautiful thing about traditions is there's traditions that we take on and we pass on. But the beautiful thing is we also can create our own traditions, healthy traditions. There's traditions that have been passed down to us that are not always healthy. There's a lot of toxic traditions that have been passed down to us. We have a beautiful opportunity to actually create the traditions that we're going to pass forward, that were good to us, that were medicine for us. And we get to create those now as storytellers, as artists. I always love it when I sing on performance. If you like what I'm doing, man, you can do it too. And if you hate what I'm doing, you're mad. Like that, hombre, that poem sucked. That voice, bro, you should not be on stage. Amazing, amazing. And I'm on stage doing it, that means you can do it too. I hope I'm inspiring to folks that I'm not here because I'm the greatest. I'm here because I have the courage to do it, and so do you. And I'm here at an arts advocacy convention. This is a call that we're all artists and we're all storytellers and we have a job to do. And it's much greater than our career, than our job, or what we do 9 to 5. We're here to create a new world, a new economy, a new way that we relate to one another, right? And so you said it eloquently. Arts is a way of life. It's what sustains us. And are you doing that practice yourself? And that's my question to you as we leave today and as we leave this conference. What are the traditions and practices that you're cultivating and passing on to the next generation?
As we were talking earlier, I think about, so I'm an urban planner, and I think about what it takes to create healthy communities where all people can thrive, and especially historically marginalized communities. And I think that the idea of an artful life, which is basically what you're talking about, everyone harnessing their creative energy and being able to express that's part of what makes for a healthy place. That's part of what makes for a just place. And the work of creating communities where you can truly feel free, where you can have human expression and see the humanity of others, it feels like that's long work. And that's work that you all have been involved in. And long work requires hope. So I'm curious about hope and the role of hope in your journeys.
Hope?
Hope.
Esperanza.
Esperanza.
Well, the hope for me has to do with a vision of the future in some ways. What is hope about? Hope, you're looking forward, positively. One of the processes that goes on, and it's certainly dramatic in California specifically, but all over the world, is the whole process of cultural fusion. That has always fascinated me. And I mentioned that I was born in 1940. California was very different then. It seems to me that the segregation was more severe, that white people were over here, black people were over here, Mexicans were over here, Filipinos were over there, the Chinese, we were all separate communities. It was a very different, you couldn't get sushi in California in the 1940s, And you didn't hear jazz everywhere in California. The Fillmore District, perhaps, in San Francisco, if you're looking for it, but outside of Harlem. But the fact is that over the years in my lifetime, I've seen the process of cultural fusion really begin to define a new America. And today, we all share a lot of common values, whether it's food or whether it's music or whether it's color or whether it's racial distinction, if you will. I wrote Zoot Suit as an expression of cultural fusion. Without the African-American experience, there would have been no Pachucos. Pachucos are Zoot Suiters that were inspired by African-Americans, putting on the Zoot Suit. And of course, that whole phenomenon came from east to west, came through El Paso, picked up the name Pachuco there, and made it all the way to East LA, where the Pachucos then began to express themselves as part of city life. But all of that is one reflection of what goes on in America as a whole. It's been happening, in my estimation, for 500 years, that the so-called raza is not a race at all. It's a cultural fusion, a racial fusion of many different kinds of peoples and values. And that only enriches our life. And so when I sit here as a Chicano, what I mean by being Chicano is I'm colored by all of the people that I have known my whole life. Obviously, I'm talking in English. And so that's the Anglo part of me. Whether you want to admit it or not, we absorb that. Not the racist Anglo, but the more even-minded, more just, kinder, more equal Anglo, that we need in all our beings. But beyond that, I'm also African-American. Literally, genetically, but also culturally. Without the African-American experience, I wouldn't be me. And by the same token, the exposure that we've had on the West Coast to Asian culture, how can you conceive of life without the Asian input? All of that has made us who we are. And so our art, our evolving American art, is an expression of this ongoing national and international cultural fusion that is defining a new America. There's no reason for to create pockets of hatred and ridicule and disdain because this person is that group or that. It's a process that is affecting the whole world right now as we sit here. And what's happening in the Middle East is part of the enduring ignorance that separates people. The function of the arts is to raise human consciousness, to know that we're all connected, that men are women and women are men, that it's time to respect each other as complete equals in terms of gender equality. And so all of that has to come out in our work, in our expressions, in our music, as I say, in our dance, in our works of art. But beyond that, there's a higher consciousness that connects us to the universe as a whole. So eventually, the journey through the arts is a journey into the cosmos, is a journey into our deepest self. It cannot happen without an appreciation of consciousness itself. And I think that's the purpose of life, to make yourself more conscious, if you can, in your life. Conscious so that you can defeat death, because life is consciousness. And so we're surrounded by death. We're surrounded by corruption. We're surrounded by the weakness of our institutions that need to be refurbished and recreated from moment to moment. That's the art. That is what we must dedicate ourselves to, is regeneration, the raising of consciousness, the equality, and the equilibrium of the human race.
Hector, this idea of hope, I saw in work as recent as within the last couple of weeks with you, in working with unions, and that creation is an act of hope, in a sense. Do you want to share that clip?
Yeah.
Do we have that?
Do we got that?
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is?
I will say that when the ICE raids hit LA, that was really difficult. When ICE came to LA, and I felt a sense of hopelessness. There's nothing we could do. There's nothing I could do to stop the fact that my fruit lady was gonna get kidnapped, that folks were getting pulled from their streets. I joined a rapid response team. I joined a summer of resistance where I was trying to bring artists from all over, but no matter what we did, even the rapid response team was always in response to a kidnapping. And I felt this sense of hopelessness. And I did that, I called my manager, I said, hey, we're not going on tour, I don't want to do any shows. The summer, I'm dedicated to organizing. And I did that, and I got burned out after 2 months, because every day it was something. Every day was a kidnapping. It's hard to see your family, your neighbors being taken. And my wife said, when I got burned out, she said, hey, let's go see a show. There's one of your favorite bands, this band called the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. They're playing in San Diego. I think you need a break because you're going to have a mental breakdown. I went to go see this band. We went to go to San Diego. We went to go see the AAS. It was fucking amazing. It calmed me down. I was singing the songs. And then backstage, I got to, I saw Karen O, the lead singer. She was walking by. I said, Karen. She turned around. I said, we've been fighting ICE in LA. Our folks are getting kidnapped. And I have not felt okay in a long time. And you made me feel okay today. You made me feel like we're going to make it just by singing your songs. Thank you. And music did that. And it brought that hope. And it brought me back that music can do that. It did it for me when I was feeling hopeless. About a month ago, I got called by SEIU and be like, hey, we might go on strike. Custodians, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, they don't have a contract. I think we're going to go on strike. We need a song. Can you help us? I said, man, I can't build you a bridge. I'm horrible at math, but I can write a song. I can put together a song. And we did a song, and I'm proud to say that last week, on Tuesday, we averted a strike, and we got a contract for UTLA and SEIU. And I'm not saying it's because of our song. I'm not saying that. I don't want you to go out here and say, he said because of the song. No. But everything, but the music was a part of it. The song went viral. And it was a way to build public opinion. Get people involved. Let people know what's going on, that there's a fight in your neighborhood and you can get involved. And we did this song. We invited the SEIU members to be a part of it. We invited dancers to be a part of it. And we created something in 48 hours. And this thing went viral. And it was able to tell LA, hey, LA, what side are you on? And we did this video.
So are we ready? Yeah! Because when we fight, we win! When we fight, we win! When we fight, we win!
What side are you on? 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 The people march for justice. The people march with faith. The only thing we're asking is for a living wage. So are you standing with the workers? All the dreamers and believers? Or are you standing with the rich folks who won't share some
Who only got time for the photo shoots. Or standing with the bureaucrats who always take, who don't ever care what the working class make. Are you standing with the liars who conspire to make sure you don't get what you deserve? A better wage, healthcare pay, and to make sure folks are always being heard.
What side are you on? What side are you on? What side are you on?
Roll
What side are you
call.
on?
Are you standing with the bus drivers?
Yes, we are.
Our custodians?
Yes, we are.
The HCAs?
Yes, we are.
Our ITTs?
Yes, we are.
Special ed?
Yes, we are.
Let's say it again.
Say it again.
After school workers?
Yes, we are.
All my gardeners?
Yes, we are.
Cafeteria workers?
Yes, we are.
Community reps?
Yes, we are.
Campus aides?
Yes, we are.
We are Local 99.
We got the people, we got the power. We got the people, we got the power. We got the people, we got the power. If you wanna win, then sing it louder.
If you want to win, then sing it louder, 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 louder. Come on now.
What side are you? What side are you? What side are you? What side are you? What side are you?
What side are you on right now?
What side are you? What side are you?
Come on, everybody. This is now our moment. This is now our time. Gonna join the picket with Local 99.
Hector, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. And clearly people liked it, so that's great. As we're wrapping up, I'd be remiss if we didn't take the opportunity to ask the two of you who have so much to offer given your experience, what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about your path? What would you tell someone, a young person, or to someone who's considering your path, your career path, wanting to be an activist and an artist and to claim that as what their vocation and what their purpose is? What advice would you give them?
Well, that's seriously, yeah. I mean, it'd be easy to come up with some pop answer. Usually people would say something like, you have to believe in yourself, but what does that mean? There's a Mayan concept called menya, which is the definition of work that guides us in the work of El Teatro Campesino. Menya is really two words, men and ya. Men means to believe, to create, to do. If you create something, it's because you believe something. And in order to do something, you have to believe something. So belief is the beginning. You have to believe in what you are doing. You have to believe in order to create. And ya is the other part of the word. It means love and pain. If you feel love, you're going to feel pain. If you feel pain, it's because you feel love. So to believe, to create, to do with love and pain, that is the definition of creativity in the Mayan universe. And as creators, as human beings, we are creators. And it begins again with our minds, it begins with our hearts. And so you have to believe in yourself. I mean, it's an old cliche, but in a very real sense, you have to start with yourself. You have to embrace what you are and where you come from. And that consciousness lives within you, but you build from there. And that, if you will, is the ultimate source of your hope. It is your consciousness, it is your awareness, regardless of what the conditions may be. We're all mortals, we'll never get out of this world alive, but what we leave behind us is the trace of our life. And this is where culture comes in. And so we pass that on. It's the continuum that is really important. The history of art is the history of the human race. And so we are making history as we make our art. And that is a vital process because it is what gives people a reason to exist. And so it's a complete circle in the sense that we believe in order to create, and we create in order to believe. And it's a daily process. It's there every moment of your life. You have to create yourself. You have to be yourself. And so we're all unique in a very real sense. Now with our technology, with AI and all of that is being called into question. How can we retain our authenticity? How can we retain our essence with all of this technology mimicking us? But I feel that the ultimate truth lies in our existence as human beings. I believe that we can communicate. Our technology is really just an extension of who we really are. I think that the moment that an idea is conceived in somebody's brain, an expression is made, that spreads throughout the whole human race, even without any direct contact. I've seen that happen across the generations, that ideas take root, concepts take root, and you don't need the technology to spread the word. It's there because we're all connected anyway. We're connected through our consciousness. We're not pieces of meat. We're all radiating radio stations, sending out our beams. And just know that no matter where you are, whether you think you're down at the bottom of the lowest pit, you're still connected to the human race. And reach out with your consciousness, reach out with your positivity, create joy where there is bitterness. And this is what we did with the Teatro Campesino. In the middle of the grape strike, when there was despair, we brought humor. And that was all that was wanted, man. That was all that was necessary. We brought music where there was ache and pain. And so this is what you are doing as artists. As advocates, you need to advocate for the essence of our humanity. And that's where the hope comes from. That is where the belief comes from. And that is how we overcome death eventually. We overcome our own corruption, our own mortality, by leaving our essence in the work that we do and let another generation carry the torch forward. I love life, and I'm sure you do too. But you have to believe in life. Don't give up. No te dejes. Síguele dando. No te rajes, as they say in Mexico. Don't crack, man. Keep going. Believe in yourself and believe in people. Adelante.
It's hard to go up after letters. What do you say after that, Luis? Gosh. I used to live next door to this little kid. He was a beat maker, and he used to make beats in his garage. You tell me right now, if I got 2 minutes, you tell me, you give me that too. And he used to play music like, maybe 10 p.m. to like 3 a.m., man. It'd just be like, zzz, 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 every night, man. And one day I went over next door and I said, hey, man, you make beats? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, I know, I hear you, man. I said, well, I do poems, I write music. Let's do music together. And we created a friendship. And we started making music over 2 years. And it was really fun. I had songs and words and poems, and he had beats. And then, I told him about my band and stuff like that. And I remember him telling me, he's like, man, if I could just do what you do, I'd be happy. He was this little kid, and he'd been on Xanax and Ritalin since he was like 12 years old. He was like OCD and ADHD, and he couldn't do a lot of stuff, but he loved music. He could like zone in, and that's why he was a great beat maker. And he was like, man, if I could just do what you do, I'd be happy. I said, no, man. If you're not happy right now, you're not going to be happy when you get there. And I remember like the lead singer from like Linkin Park. I told him this story. The lead singer from Linkin Park, that homeboy had committed suicide. One of the most famous bands all over the world. Mad money, mad fame. I said, he had it all. And he still wasn't happy. This is not happiness. The stage is not happiness. The stage is not success. It's the creation. It's to find out what you can do, what you can put together, what you can make. I saw an interview with Neil Tyson DeGrasse. He said, in the science world, if someone didn't figure out gravity, along the way, someone would have figured it out because that's static, right? Gravity is gravity. That's not going to change. But when it comes to creativity, No one sees the world you do the way you do. No one sees the world the way I do. So what I create, I make, what I write is through my lens, through my experience. What you create will be from your lens, your experience. And it's about the journey. Our ancestors taught us that. They created collectively. They sang collectively. They danced collectively. Find yourself a community of people where you can create, where you can fail, you know? And I'm going to leave this. This is the last thing I'm going to say. When I was first singing, I was 23 years old. And the woman who taught me was teaching us how to sing these songs. She said, I'm only going to teach you music if you play, dance, and sing. And I said, I don't sing. She's like, I'm only going to teach you if you play, dance, or sing. I said, all right. And then the day came where everybody's singing. And she's like, all right, your turn to sing. And I said, I don't sing good. And she said, I didn't ask if you sang good. I asked you to sing. It changed my life. It changed my world. I was with people who were all learning music, and some of us are good, some of us are bad, but those definitions didn't matter. We were creating, we were singing, we were dancing, and that changed my life. And I want everybody to feel that joy. Success is not on the stage. Success is not the money. Success is not the end. It's the journey. And that's what gives me hope, right? Our ability to create and make, and every day you can wake up and be like, I'm going to create something today, right? And so that's what I got to say. And just, Luis, thank you so much for the work, the creativity that you've done all these years, man, and for inspiring a young brown kid to be proud and just to create in a world that doesn't want me to. Thank you.
So this can go on. So sadly, this is the end of our time together. But I think we all got a pearl of wisdom and a dose of hope and a charge to be creative and be ourselves from you. So thank you for that.
Let me just say, that it's important that, again, artists realize what your function is and what your power is. And one of the main things for me has been turning negatives into positives. And it's through the arts that you turn things around, get a new perspective. These are very negative times. There's a lot of darkness out there. There's a lot of hatred out there. But by the same token, there's also a lot of light. But it is the artist that must evoke that light and share it with others. And ultimately, the Mayan precept that I believe in and that we believe in with the teatro, which I share with you, is called Inlak Ech. Inlak Ech, you are my other me. Si te amo y te respeto a ti, me amo y me respeto yo. Si te hago daño a ti, me hago daño a mí. You are my other me. If I love and respect you, I love and respect myself. If I do harm to you, I do harm to myself. That, to me, is the essence of the work that we do in the arts.
Please join me in thanking Luis Valdez and Hector Flores. And thanks to our sign language translator.
Can we have a big hand for our facilitator in the house, everybody? La profesora.